Robert, thank you so much for your time. I appreciated this evening on ENCA. First of all, let's speak about the expectations that you have on the Joe Biden administration.
Well, first of all, thanks for having me. I think it's important to understand the context and the strategies that were undertaken to get Biden-Harris elected and what was on the ballot. The issues of racial justice, climate justice, economic justice, the issues around health justice, all those issues were on the ballot that motivated people to turn out. And the first spark for getting Biden viable as a candidate was in South Carolina. And it was black people, African Americans, who voted in record numbers in South Carolina in that primary that pushed Biden and gave him the impetus to go on to win. And it was black and people of color that pushed him across the finish line. So the issues and concerns and the expectations that we have, and being a co-chair of the National Black Environmental Justice Network and being a professor at a historically black college university, we see the issues around environmental justice, climate justice, economic justice, racial justice, and issues around health justice, COVID, and a response to this health threat, this pandemic that is not only threatening the health and livelihoods of black people, but it's all disproportionately, but also impacting workers as well as small businesses. So we want, and we are demanding, and we have been in constant contact with the candidate and with the nominee, and now we're in contact with President Biden and Vice President Harris.
Yeah.
So our expectations are high. We know it won't be easy, but those 81 million folks who voted for Biden and Harris, we represent the majority, and we're not timid or shy about ensuring that justice and fairness and equity basically resound across the country.
Donald Trump says that it's been an incredible 4 years. He says we have accomplished so much. People have no idea how hard this family has worked, referring to his family. What legacy does he leave behind? Some people have said this is how not to leave. How not to leave office. You don't pardon your cronies. You don't instigate an insurrection. You don't lose the election and then pretend like you didn't lose at all. And that's how you do not leave office. What do you think is his legacy? And how important are the events of the last couple of days, and even today, with the breaking of so many traditions, in shaping his legacy?
Well, let me just state up front, Donald Trump did make history as the worst president of the United States and the only president in the history of our country that has been impeached twice. And he's leaving office with the lowest approval rating of any president in the history of this country. So he did break history and break records. So Donald Trump is history. He's the past. Biden and Harris is the future. If you saw the inauguration today, you could see that there were so many glass ceilings, so many historical barriers that were breached, broken in terms of the election of and the inauguration of President Biden and Harris. You know, an African-American woman, South Asian descent, first woman vice president. And if you look at Biden's cabinet, the nominees that he's pushed forward, it is representative of America. And the idea that Trump somehow was going to make America great again, no. What happened on January 6th was basically the last grasp of desperation of white supremacy, of systemic racism advocates that want to take the country back to a period of time when black people had no rights.
Yeah.
We're not going back. And the idea that somehow the future of the country and looking forward, that's what was represented today. And I think the idea, when you look at the conditions in which the ceremonies were held because of COVID, we had the social distance, and because of that insurrection that these folks who were trying to overthrow the government, these racist white supremacists were trying to overthrow the government and somehow throw us into a dictatorship, dismantle our democracy. They were defeated.
Yeah.
But because of having to show force, 25,000 National Guards stationed about the city of Washington, D.C. But again, America is determined. We have a president and a vice president now that will make America America. That's known around the world. A beacon for hope, a beacon for democracy, and leading by example. How can we talk about human rights abuses and trying to create a system where people vote and are not intimidated when we don't have it ourselves? So getting back to the basics of leading by example and showing that we can get it right, even though after 401 years we haven't, been equal justice for all, but that has been the goal. And that's what we're saying, that's what we saw today, as we are on that step toward having that and equal justice for all.
Yeah, and Joe Biden says they tried to stop the work of our democracy. It did not happen, and it will never happen again. Robert, thank you so much for your time. That was Robert Bullard, who is the co-chairperson at the National Black Environmental Justice Network.